My dear brothers and sisters, all of you have a heart. All, can you keep your hand there and feel the beat of your heart? And I'm sure every one of you have a heart. And this heart is now being tested by Jesus through his gospel. When we say all of us have a heart, the wounded man in today's gospel reading had a heart. The priest who was walking by has a heart. The Levite who was walking by has a heart. The Good Samaritan also has a heart. You have a heart, I have a heart. Jesus also has a heart. And the lawyer who questioned Jesus, asking him, "What must I do to inherit eternal life?" And Jesus said, put another question, because lawyers ask question me. Jesus also asked another counter question and said, "What do you see? Where it is written?" And the lawyer answers, "Love the Lord your Lord with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your strength." Wonderful. But the lawyer is not satisfied. He said, "Who is my neighbor?" So the lawyer also has a heart. And therefore, today, the Levite and priest were worried. What will happen to my heart if I go and extend my help? What will happen to my heart? Whereas you see the Samaritan, he doesn't look into his heart. He's worried. What will happen to the wounded heart of this man? And if I don't urgently help him? This is for you to take back home. What will happen to my neighbor's heart more than what is going to happen to my heart? Today we hear Christ, this immortal parable about a man who was wounded and lying on the roadside, and how two people passed by and did not stop to help. This was the indifference that shocked many people more than the incident itself. The indifference that we also have to extend a helping hand to somebody is what you and I learn from today's gospel reading. What does it finally calls us for? It clearly shows that you and I should go and do likewise yourself. Today, my dear brothers and sisters, why did the priest and the Levite not stop? Because the first question that came into the mind of the Levite and the priest was, my duty. I have to go and do sacrifice. I have to prepare people. Therefore, my duty is first. The law is first. The cleanliness that they were looking at as per the law was first. And what will happen to me is first. Therefore, you see, the first question that came into the mind of the Samaritan was, what will happen to this wounded man if I don't stop and help him? He makes all the sound possible to make it very simple, because he is not thinking about what the end result is for himself. He is not thinking about what is going to happen to me if I am going to immediately help him. He is here interested, and he finds that this is my duty. I am duty bound to first go and act on this wounded man. Therefore, people today are very, very conscious and very cautious to get involved in many things. So the first thing is the indifferences that we have. The second important thing that we see today is that we are cautious, very conscious and cautious to be involved. Why? Because getting involved is a messy business. Because it disrupts your routine life. That you know very well. If I'm going to let this happen, then many things I will be losing. It is safer and far easier for me to act according to my heart, take the other road. This is what happened to these two. But the strong point that Jesus Christ brings in today's gospel reading very clearly shows the involvement of the Samaritan helping a Jew, which means an unlikely man, unlikely person comes into the life of a Samaritan, becoming a hero today. Therefore, you and I have good reasons not to get involved. But the Samaritan had a simple reason to be involved, which helped him to do that work. Why did the priest and the Levite help? After all, it is the job of the priest and the Levite to go first and do that act. They preached, but they did not practice. That is why this beautiful parable becomes an immortal parable. The Samaritan was a kind man. He could find that if I pass this fellow human being who is wounded, who is crying for help, then I am a useless person, I am a useless human being. Therefore, he has full of compassion to get down, to go on his knees, bandage his wounds, take him to the inn, do the rest. That is the reason why at one time or other, you and I have been like the Levite or like the priest, taking the other road when somebody is crying for help. When you know that you have to go down on your knees and do something, we take the other road and go away. So we must have been a Levite or a priest. We are indifferent to such situation. We refuse to be involved. Therefore, it is the question that you and I have to answer. I will get involved. I will be the first one to be involved. I will not show my indifference to such situation. I will have that compassionate heart. The parable of Christ is more relevant today than before. Why? How many people in your life today lie wounded by the roadside of your life? There are so many people wounded and laying on the roadside of your life. Their wounds are not always visible. Many of us today, the deepest wounds are not visible. They are not physical wounds that we see today. Perhaps there are such people on our streets. There are such people in my own family. There are such people in own parish. A depressed man who lost his wife. A man who worked all his life earning, finally has nothing to do. A deserted wife. A lonely family. Children left alone. Forgotten old people are all on your roadside. It is for you now to get involved. All are waiting, lying quietly, that they may be heard by you, and that you may stop and become a good Samaritan. My dear friends, finally we see, is my heart big enough? Yes, all of our hearts are big enough to embrace even some of these acts in our life. The next important thing that we see is the Samaritan is not indifferent. He shines like a light in the darkness. He is like a water in the desert to show people that this is what you and I have to do if we are Jesus' follower. All that matters that is see in each and every one situation the wounded human being in your life, and then extend the best to bind up those wounds. My dear friends, hearing this gospel and listening to this sermon is not enough. Have you been any time a good Samaritan in your life? Have you been any time a good Samaritan in your life? Well, I'd like to tell you how I was a good Samaritan. It was just like that. When I was in the seminary, we were all playing football. That was group matches of football, and it is really tough and it's an interesting competition. There will be rough playing, And as we were playing the football, one of the backy hit a very severe shot. And another brother who came in front and he wanted to stop that shot, he showed his chest right in front of that ball and the ball hit his chest. He fell like a bird down. I was right in the front that side. By then when he fell down on the ground, gasping for breath, everybody was around him. Everybody was around him. And they brought a mug of water, tried to sprinkle on his face. Nothing happened. Finally, I slowly walked up to that place to see what happened. And as I went and I seen him, his eyes were already up inside. And then I knew only one thing. I have to give respiration. Nobody stopped me. Nobody told me how to do it. I just went on my knees. I gave him the respiration in his mouth to mouth. I was not bothered about it. Mouth to mouth I gave him and I revived him. And when he was taken to the doctor said, whoever gave you that breath, that was the breath of your life. And even today, that friend of mine, Father T. Julian, tells, I have saved him. You and I have an opportunity to do something like this in many situations. And you and I can't just take the other road. You and I should, by all means, take the road that which the Good Samaritan took. Amen. Let us all stand for the creed.